I love that you're doing this. I'm so impressed that I'm not in the shower. I haven't been on camera in a while. I know what it looks like.
Yeah, great, man.
No, you do too. I love that you're doing this. I think it's so great that you are staying connected to all the fans and involving all of us. So
Thank you,
I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you, man. I mean,
Just a little bit ago, I asked the audience if they've done one of our panels before, and there was a lot of people who haven't, and actually most of them haven't. So
the most of the audience has not attended a panel before?
One of our panels, yeah. So,
this is exciting for me because I've been doing this 26 years, and what's exciting to me is that it just dawned on me the other day that most of my fans today, or most of fans of Dragon Ball, weren't born when I started working on Dragon Ball. I mean, some of them were, you know. And so I'm just working on Dragon Balls. I started in '99. I'm working on it. All you kids are here gestating, being born. You know, turn on the TV. You're like, come here, and now you're all adults and reproducing yourselves. And so my brain is like kind of wrapping my head around that, you know, because I think my brain's kind of froze at the year 2000 a little bit because of Y2K, you know what I mean? So I think it's weird and exciting that most of the audience attendees here have not actually been to a panel before.
That's insane, right?
That's insane, and it's thrilling for me because I have no children, and so you guys are all my children, and I appreciate it. So
just don't ask for child support, please.
No, I will not pay child support because I probably don't know your parents or your mom.
With all that said, just for those who haven't heard the story before, I've heard the story.
Oh, the story of how I got the job.
Yeah. So how was that process like for you?
That was surreal. I used to be a professional classical musician. I played in symphonies as a French hornist, and I was married to an actress at the time, and she looked for acting work. There wasn't really an established internet. There was some internet. So a lot of actors in Dallas especially would look in the Dallas Observer in the want ads for acting jobs. You know, we're doing a musical, we're doing a play, come audition. So they'd put an ad in the paper that said wanted voice actors for a national cartoon. Didn't say anything about Dragon Ball. She saw it, she was like, "You're really good at voices, you should do this." And I said, "Nah, I'm good being a French horn player, that's good." Because when I started playing that instrument, this is what I wanted to do my whole life, and I really liked it. And then I didn't realize I liked voice acting more. And so I didn't want to do it, and then I called my friends who've known me longer than her. These are friends I had a long time. And they're like, "Are you crazy? Like, why you do voices for us all the time? Go do this. What are you, nuts?" And I'm like, "Fine." But then when I do seriously, right? So I'm like, I'm gonna go focus, right? So all that classical music training, because when you're a musician, if you haven't even studied music at all, you have to be extraordinarily prepared. And so there's a lot of focus on, you know, preserving your lip in this case, or my voice, or your instrument, and being just really focused on interpreting, you know, sound into emotional things, right? So about 80% of my training as a musician, and I'd taken acting classes in college, and I directed some plays in high school, so I dabbled in acting a lot. And then my first audition, about 80% of that training, musical training, translated because they required us to mimic the original Canadian cast because they were moving production from Canada to Texas. And so to me, just mimicking voices, and it was just musical notes, and then the mouth flaps were like the conductor. And so it all so I hear everything in music usually, which is why certain Kamehamehas, I don't tell people this a lot, but certain Kamehamehas are like major arpeggios, depending on the moment, and other Kamehamehas are out of tune arpeggios, or flat arpeggios, or flattened sevens. So there's music in what I'm doing on Dragon Ball. It's not actually always in tune, so you can't go through and find a C, E, G, C, or whatever, but you'll hear the shape of a fully diminished arpeggio, or a major arpeggio, or minor. And it also depends on what Goku's moment is. If it's like a triumphant moment, it's going to be very major sounding, and if it's a danger moment, or it might not work, I might hit the Kamehameha, like it's out of tune, it twists, and I'm looking for that, you know, when we do those scenes. So that's a big part of. Music's a big part of, you know, how I do my work. But once I stepped into the booth the first time, I felt like I was coming home, and it was something I wanted to do my whole life, and I didn't know, because as a little boy, I was a huge fan of guys like Rich Little, who's an impersonator, and Robin Williams, and Eddie Murphy, and Richard Pryor, and all these comedians that did voices were just, I remember being fascinated by watching Rich Little especially, going, he can be a different person just by changing his voice. And I was like, I want to be a different person just by changing my voice. And then it became a career, you know? So I got real lucky. We'll say that.
That's amazing.
I also give long answers.
No, I love the long answers.
Sorry.
No, don't apologize for that. So clearly you have a background in music.
Yeah.
French horn player.
Yeah, I play guitar and other stuff too, but mainly French horn.
Drums.
Yeah. I play some drums. Yeah.
So definitely we can tell how you bring that skill set into the recording booth.
Yeah.
So we know how it's helped you. Is there any challenges that you face as being a musician going into the voice actor booth?
No, it's all helpful. There's no challenges making that transition for me. We found when I was directing anime, I directed several shows for Michael Center Nicholas at NYB Post in the early 2000s. And when we were casting, we discovered that musical instrumentalists and musical theater people tended to audition better than just regular theater actors. And that's not to say regular theater actors can't do it, and some of them train to get good at voice acting. But they're used to being able to just do whatever they want on stage, and when you come into an audition for a dub, you have to fit your emotions in certain mouth flap lengths, which means you have to give the same emotional performance that you would get away with doing something where you could just, on your own timing, do what you want, which we do in voice acting. It's called prelay work versus dubbing work. And the musical theater people and instrumentalists, in fact, most of the cast of Dragon Ball does play an instrument, either proficiently or highly proficiently. Stephanie Nadolny was a singer before she was a voice actress. Mike McFarland is a very accomplished guitarist. Chris Kaysen is an accomplished guitarist. Chris Sava was an opera major at North Texas. I was a French horn major. Like, all of us have there's a lot of musicians who are very good at voice acting. So I find a strong corollary to that, you know.
Awesome. So that's your piece of voice acting advice.
Go play an instrument.
Because I know that question is going to be here. So if you're like, what's some advice? Learn how to play music. Learn how to do music.
Well, playing a French horn especially, it probably would. Another wind instrument might have not helped as much. Maybe a flute wouldn't have, because when you're blowing on a 12.5-foot tube for 20 years, using that resistance and pressure to build up your lungs is extraordinarily helpful to doing kamehamehas, etc. And when I get a new series, anytime I got to come back to do Goku, and I was working on Sparking Zero all last year, and I was also working on Daima just a month ago, I'll start playing my horn to warm up. What I'll do is I'll just do exercises, playing my horn, playing loud, playing soft, because I know I'm working the apparatus that's going to go through this versus this, and so it's fundamentally the same. I'm either doing this with my lips, or that's doing it in my throat, and so it's just this amount of distance, and so that really helps build up the strength and the energy I need to kamehameha in the booth, etc.
And does anyone play French horn here?
Or any brass instrument? Any brass players? You a hornist? Really, you're a hornist? Excellent, excellent. I have about 1,000 questions I'm not going to ask you because I'm on a panel right now. And it usually involves your equipment, who your teacher is, what pieces you... I used to be a French horn teacher, so my brain is like, oh, really? Let's see what you know. That's my old career. So yeah, that's cool. But anyway, one thing I will want to say about music, and I think it's really important to make this point for young people, and there are numerous scientific studies on this, and if I were a dad, or if I'm going to be your dad, I would say, do music even if you suck at it. And here's why. Scientific studies show that if you read music or study music, it makes your brain smarter in other areas that you might need, such as science, math, other things. So you're like, I don't want to be a musician. That's fine. I'm not good at it. That's fine. Just play it for fun. You're making yourself smarter in other things that you might want to do. And this has been scientifically studied because of the parts of your brain that are designed to read music and then play an instrument coalesce together in a way that makes you smarter. In fact, in the 60s or maybe the 40s, I can't remember, I think it was the 60s, IBM, when they were recruiting their programmer coders, they went to music schools and recruited musicians because you understand how to substitute a symbol for a sound, and so when you learn how to read music, that can be very advantageous for not only coding, but for a lot of other things. So, yeah.
Yeah, but playing French horn is really hard.
Yeah, it is really hard, yeah.
So, you'll know just how. And
if you want to turn this into, I'm not going to turn this into a horn panel, but it'd get really boring real fast.
Going musical with Sean Schemmel.
Yeah, I totally talk about it.
All right, so we kind of hinted at it a little bit ago. You've been voicing Goku for a very long time.
Yeah.
So typically when that happens is parts of you start to kind of rub off on how you portray the character, and maybe even the way the character is written starts to kind of rub off on you.
Well,
have you noticed that?
Yeah, well, here's the thing. It's funny that you mentioned that because I had I talk philosophically about styles of acting with my actor friends. And I have a personal attitude toward acting that's different than some folks, but not all folks. And that is, I like the Daniel Day-Lewis school of acting, which is that you become completely a different person. And by doing so, I'm not inserting Sean Schemmel into anything. I may draw on my emotional raw material to channel that into whatever I'm doing, but when I'm absorbing a character, I am not Sean. I don't want to put Sean into it. Why would I insert, if I'm playing you, why would I want to stick me and you? That sounds weird, but why would I want to stick, that did not come out right. But why would I want to do that? And there's some actors, I talked to a friend of mine recently, he goes, no, that's how I do it. And I said, why do you do that? He goes, well then, because it's me, and then it makes my acting, the character more empathetic. I go, but then where's the character if you're in there? And so I made this point, and I'm not saying that kind of acting is bad, because there are plenty of on-camera actors that use this style of acting. It's not as emotionally powerful for me, unless they're really transforming, like Meryl Streep, so I really like that. So I've done over 100 voices in the last 26 years, and they only know me for Goku, but I'm okay with that, because if you watch Shaman King, or if you watch Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal, the old Ninja Turtles I did 60 different voices on Ninja Turtles from 4 kids. And you can't tell hardly any of them, and I love that. I love it when you find out I just did King Kai, because I don't want you to think about me when I want to suspend your disbelief so that you would believe King Kai or Goku is real. But if you're thinking about Sean Schemmel, and I'm Sean Schemmeling it up, well, I'm not that interesting. Although I will say, when I play the Monkey King on Lego Monkey Kid, it is me it's the only time I've done this. It's me retired mixed with a little bit of Norm Macdonald delivery, because he's kind of a smartass, right? Because I was born in the year of the monkey, I have a monkey theme in my life, and I'm like, I've been playing the Monkey King for years as Goku, so I thought for the Monkey King, I'm just gonna be me. And so I don't change my voice at all in that. It's the only role I've ever played that I'm playing like me. However, the script just kind of dictates my character's attitude. That would be the only scenario I did it in, because it felt so biographical for me and my long association with the Monkey King. And being called Monkey Boy as a child, my grandma asking me if I had a tail when she'd dry me off in the shower and rip off, she's like, did they rip a tail off you, Sean? My grandma's, drying me off, and I'm like, come on, little monkey boy. I was like 5 years old. My whole life it's been that way. And so when Dragon Ball showed up, I was just astounded at the metaphysical nature of how everything went down. It was kind of amazing for me.
That's amazing.
There's a lot to it, actually, but
amazing.
It's really weird.
But you brought up how you've voiced so many different characters.
Yeah.
Just how do you find the voice per character? 'Cause you want to kind of make each character their own person, unique to itself. Like how do you find that voice?
Well, it's interesting because when you're doing Japanese anime and you're dubbing, there's a number of things that happen from a Japanese studio. If you're working directly with the Japanese studio, they will often say, try to do the essential essence of our voice actors, or they'll say, do something new, do whatever you want. And I bring this point up because it bothers me a little bit that there's a culture around dub actors being less than, and I don't agree with that. That would mean the original cast of Romeo and Juliet is the best cast you ever had in Shakespeare's time, and nobody could do it better. Although I do think there are scenarios where you do want that consistency, and when I did Kappa Mikey as the original voice of Gonard, I was curious and thrilled to hear what the German guy was doing, and he did not copy me at all, and I was fine with it. I was like, because I could tell that version of what I was doing was going to speak to those German audiences, right? And so for me, it's like when you come to a voice, if you get the edict from Japan that's like, or from the Japanese company that's like, copy our guy, well then yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to listen to it, I'm going to copy, I'm going to do as close as I can. I've done that on a number of occasions. But like when I did Dr. Crowler for Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, I mean, what happened with that scenario was that, and I do this all the time, like I was out of town, I called the director, I was like, hey, can you hold the audition? I really want to read for this. Like, no, we'll hold it. And I show up and I go in there and I'm just looking at the face, I hear, and they'll play the Japanese guys sometimes and sometimes they don't, and sometimes they don't want you to hear it. And then I just see the face and I look at the script and the dialogue, and sometimes the dialogue will tell you how he is. And then suddenly I felt this voice come into my head was a proper duelist with a PhD in dueling. And that's how I came with Dr. Crowler, right? And then Ojama yelled, just a yellow guy! And I just thought it was really fun. It's just what speaks to you instantly. And then if the director's like, oh, I love it, let's do it, then you're good. But sometimes like, oh, that's hilarious, but it won't work, let's do something else, right? So there's a number of different ways. Like when we did Lego Monkey Kid, that was a show China ordered, asked us to record originally for them to dub. They wanted an American cast, and so we're the original cast that we record without animation. They send it to Australia, then they animate it, and then they send that to China and they dub it. And so that is a rare thing. That doesn't usually happen like that. That was really rare. So there's a lot of different ways, localizations and dubs come to life. And all of them are valid as long as the story's represented and you're emotionally affected and you have a great time, you know what I mean? I don't watch a lot of the dubs, and even though I'm a huge dub supporter, only because all my friends are in it. And so I'm watching, I gotta see how they were, hey, how you doing? I'm watching, and then I'm like, I can't even watch the show. So I'll watch it on Japanese first just to get it out of the way, and so I can watch it and enjoy it. And I do enjoy a few different Japanese seiyuu, so I'm definitely fans of some Japanese voice actors. But then I go watch it in English and I hear all my friends, and then I can't pay attention, so it's challenging, because I'm thinking about them, because I care about them, whatever.
Like, I wonder how Chris is.
Hey, how are you doing? In fact, I was playing Destiny 2, and after the updated Destiny 2, there's always a speech by the Drifter, which is played by Todd Havercorn, and I called him, and as the speech going on, I go, Todd, I left him a voice, and I was like, Todd, the Drifter's on every time we boot it up. And then I started reading the speech as the Drifter in his voice to him, as the Drifter. I sent him a voice note. That's the kind of we do sometimes, it's really fun.
Do you just find yourself like, I can't take this seriously anymore? I know who you are.
Yeah. It's like, unless they have to really transform their voice, and some of them do, They're all fine actors, but some transform their voices more than others,
Yeah, of course.
And I got really good ears for that stuff, so I'm always like trying to dig,
Has there ever been an instance where you're like watching something and like, it doesn't hit you until the credits hit? Like, oh,
yeah, that's happened. Yeah, that's happened. Where I get credits. Oh my God, that was so. In fact, it happened on DragonBall Daima. I did not realize. I was really digging. I forgot her name in the character, but I know the actress's name. The witch lady in DragonBall Daima. That's Morgan Laurie.
Oh.
And I did not realize. And I told the director, "Who's that?" He goes, "That's." I go, "She's great. That was spectacular." And believe it or not, my favorite voice on the show. I can't remember the name, but it's the character of. At the one that talks like this the whole time, and at the end of Daima, he's like, I want a position in the cabinet, and the guy's like, nope, we're good, right? And that character just cracks me up. I love the tiny characters in any show. I love Gregory, I love Bubbles. I don't focus, I love the lead cast, obviously, but I like to focus on all the scenes, because then that's the limit of the suspension of disbelief, So that's how I consume it,
Building.
Yeah, I'm all about world building, which is why I think Wheel of Time's better than Game of Thrones.
Oh.
Sorry, I threw it down. Not the show, the books. The books.
Okay.
Robert Jordan all the way. I haven't read any other fantasy since the 90s because of Robert Jordan. That's how much I love Wheel of Time. It ruined fantasy for me because he is so good, and I love it so much.
I'll make a note.
Yeah, read Wheel of Time. It's 12 books that are 800 pages apiece. It's fantastic. It's the best fantasy series I've ever read.
I'm writing it down.
Brandon Sanderson had to finish it because Robert Jordan died, but he mapped out the rest of it so they could finish it. So yeah. Anyway, another question? Are we taking fan on questions?
I think we're about that time to start taking some.
My name is Cyro Izarak.
Your name is what?
Cyro Izarak.
Cyro Izarak.
Is that a real name or is that a stage name?
Stage name.
Very cool.
Thank you, appreciate that. My question is, obviously Dragon Ball Z is very spiritual. We're harnessing ki and energy. Have you ever embodied any type of that? Do you feel like when you're trying to be spiritual with yourself and growth and development?
You'd be surprised. I converted to Buddhism in 1996. I'm probably the world's angriest Buddhist / functional atheist. And I say functional because I have evidence, but the atheists aren't always right. So, because I respect I respect the unknown. You don't know until you're dead. So you can't say, for me, no evidence, but in terms of the spirituality of an energy, in my late 20s, I tried to come up with a unified quantum theory between my own spirituality and the quantum physics I was aware of. And I do see Goku, having studied the Lao Tzu and studied Bodhidharma, and I've studied a lot of things, I could see a lot of Eastern philosophy in the undertone elements of Dragon Ball, especially when Gohan is teaching, I think it's Videl, or I forgot which one it is, about chi and about energy. And so for me, the energetic nature of the show and how that manifests is something I've been aware of since I started, and it was right after that I got on the show. It was like 97, 98, 99, I get on the show, and I could see all these elements of what's going on. So it's why I take it so seriously, because when I'm doing that in the booth and I'm feeling those feelings, you're gonna notice it unconsciously, you're gonna feel it, you're gonna notice it if I'm not totally believable and committed, and that comes through in what I'm doing, you know what I'm saying? And so, in terms of the Eastern philosophy or metaphysical aspects of it, I absolutely think Akira Toriyama especially was tapped into that, and you'll always see me tweeting, never underestimate the power of Dragon Ball, never underestimate, because I know, because here's the way, and I follow rock bands too, Dragon Ball, other like unanime, is you got your hardcore fans, that's a pretty large audience, and then every once in a while it explodes, but it never goes away. That's Dragon Ball. That's going to go in 1,000 years from now, they'll still be watching Dragon Ball. Other anime, maybe not. So I believe in it so much, and I'm very proud of it. And when I went to go record Daima, I went in to throw down like an MMA fighter. I went in, I was like, and I respect all these shows, and I'm in on some of these other shows, and I love all my colleagues, and I'm a little professionally jealous. I'm like, yeah, One Piece is cool, yeah, My Hero's cool, but guess what? When Dragon Ball Super comes back, it's going to be this. To all other anime. And I'll come through the smoke with the cast. I'm like, yeah, now we're doing it. And you know I'm right? So I'm here to support all the creators and all the anime. Oda-san himself is a massive Akira Toriyama fan. In the Broly movie, 7 different animators paid homage to Akira Toriyama sensei. So I think he's the king. And when I went in to record, I'm like, I'm here to show you who's king. Not me, but the show. Super Saiyan 4 in the show. And if you haven't watched the last 2 episodes of Daima, make sure you wear some diapers. I ain't messing around. So, and I passed out 3 times, not because I'm old. I did it 20 years ago. It's because the voice is lower, and I don't think about it. I just go as hard as I can, because I know that if you don't believe that feeling, you won't, the story's less powerful, you will not make the change that you need to make, whatever it is that you want to do, whether it's beat the bully, finish school, ask that girl out, whatever. And the number of kids that come to my table and say, I did this, and this, listening to your voice and watching this show, well, if I half-ass it, you won't have that desire to do it, you know what I mean? So I can't take credit for it, obviously. The show's really the thing, and the story's really the thing. But if I don't match that with my own spirit, then you're not going to have those things that you're successful at. And the number of muscly guys that come to my table just because they're working out to my voice is pretty high. And the number of guys that used to be 300 pounds that are now 150 pounds or whatever, just as an example, is amazing to me. And my doctor's like, it's medically necessary for you to work out. So I appreciate you all shaming me into the circle of muscles to make me go work out. Because Bryce Papper keeps calling me, he's like, Sean, come to the gym with me, because I really do need to work out. I'm getting older and I need to take care of myself. And I do eat right, but I tend to sit around and play Destiny a lot. And I have like 3,000 hours into that game. I do, I have 3,000 hours into Destiny over the last like 5 years. Every time I land from a convention at midnight, I'm playing Destiny. My girlfriend's in bed, I'm like, I'm gonna play Destiny. So anyway, I'll digress all day, sorry, I will. I'm that kind of guy.
That was a fantastic question.
Fantastic question. I'm glad you noticed, and I hope you feel it. If you don't, I'll try harder. But
that was well said.
Thank you.
That was an answer that I couldn't have even hoped for.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much. You and your
You're making me cry. Thank you.
Would you want to be in Destiny?
I never read for that show. I would love to be in that show. All my friends are in it. I just hadn't read for it. I had never came across my desk or through my agent, you know.
Okay. So
yeah, but I love it.
Someone tweeted at, was it Bungie?
Bungie.
Someone
Although I met a Bungie guy recently, and I bitched at him. I was like, hey, I gotta tell you what I'm mad about Destiny. I have a love-hate relationship with that game because I feel like you're controlling me and making me want to play it. And then I can't play the rest of it unless I play with other people. But I play video games to escape other humans. But I need to play with other people so I can finish the levels. But I don't want to deal with other people because I'm always in the public. So when I'm doing games, I'm escaping, right?
Yeah.
But Destiny's my favorite game, and I can't escape. So it's funny. But you know what they have in Destiny? My character, he has a Super Saiyan power-up. He can do fusion, and he can also eat a bowl of ramen. So what I'll do is I'll eat a bowl of ramen, then power up right in front of somebody. They don't even know it's Goku. I got this power up, really funny, and then I'll ask him to do fusion.
Now you guys know.
Now you know. So
you know.
Guy randomly.
If that happens while you're playing, it might be fun.
It's me. Anyway, next question. Minecraft person. Yes, you're clearly a Minecraft person.
What was your name and what's your question?
I'm Jeff. Oh, I have a question. Does Goku solo?
Does he solo? Goku always solos, yo.
Yeah.
Yeah, Goku's. You know my favorite thing to do is when I'm on TikTok, here's what I'll do. I'll go into TikTok and I'll see somebody live streaming. I do this all the time. I'm on TikTok and it says Goku versus, or who is Goku stronger, or something like that. I'll go in the room, go, right, Goku solos, and then leave. I go, Goku solos, and then I leave. Every time. And then I'm waiting for them to see it. Sometimes they do it, sometimes they don't, but I love messing with people like that. I just love doing that.
I wonder if they ever go look back at their live stream. Like,
yeah, look
to be like,
Goku just came in to say he solos. That's fun to do. What did you guys see that? I'll tell you a really weird story. One time I trolled you all and nobody really noticed. Do you remember when that meme was going around on TikTok about the glycine in China? There was a meme about this, if you want the best and high quality glycine, you get it from this Chinese factory, right? And it was this weird meme that people just random folks on TikTok, like some Texan guy, when I want the finest of my glycine, I go to the Zhang Xing Shua. I can't remember the name of the company. I'm not trying to be inappropriate here, but I couldn't remember the name of it. And so in the middle of the night at 2 a.m., I posted a video, and I was looking at the camera and I go, so I'll let you in a secret. When I want the very best in glycine, I go to, and I'm about to say the name and I cut off the video. I put it up at 2 in the morning, left it for like 2 hours, and then deleted it, and I swear to God, someone said, did Sean Schemmel just talk about glycine, or am I dreaming? And that was exactly what I wanted. I was like, I wanted them to think they hallucinated me talking about glycine. Well, I just revealed the joke. I actually did put a video up and then took it down. So I'll do weird shit like that.
You might have just cured some guy's nightmares, and he's just like,
yeah,
did this happen? Am I tripping?
Am I tripping? Yeah.
He's like, I gotta lay off the good stuff before bed. All right, thank you so much.
Did you answer a question, or I just digress? What was your question? I'm sorry. What was the question? Oh no, I solo. Yes, Goku solo. Sorry, I ADD'd out. Sorry.
Thank you so much for your question.
Thank you.
Last question.
Oh, did you get two? Okay.
Oh, do you like Riverside?
I like Riverside, the city? I've considered living here.
Oh, wow.
I live in Ventura County, and it's a little expensive, and and so I'm like, I might get more real estate for my money here, and it's still high quality. So I'm like, this place is nice, I love the weather, people are nice, it's kind of out this way. I've considered moving out this way, or Orange County. I'm just, I'm figuring it out, but I love California. I've been here since 2015, so I love California. And I've lived in a lot of other states. You do have the best weather. That's the main thing.
It's actually really nice right now.
Yeah, it's really nice.
It's really nice right
You
now.
go to other states, there's like 6 months of bad weather. In California, there's like 3.
Yeah.
And I get like 9 months of good weather. It's so great. So,
I love it.
yeah.
Hello, friend. What is your name and what's your question?
My name is Oscar, and thank you for everything you do, Sean Schemmel.
Thank you.
My question is, well, first off, do move to Riverside. I know you're a car guy.
I am.
You need to go drifting.
I'm not a drift guy. I'm a stick and move guy.
I know.
I don't think my Porsche will drift, but my M4 would have, but I sold it. And the guy I sold it to wiped it. He totaled it. He totaled my M4.
Yeah.
It's like,
Orange County, Apple Valley, known for drifting BMWs. That's what I'm saying.
If you can drift my Cayman, we'll do it. But it's mid-engine, so it doesn't swing,
Ooh.
If I had a 911, it would drift. And I used to drive a 370Z Nismo.
I knew you were a car guy.
Oh, I'm a total car guy. I'll do JDM. I don't care. It's whatever.
I remember you telling me a joke about you stopping at a red light, they honk at you, and right turns green, you come out. It's like, I don't know what's wrong with it.
Oh yeah, I do that. When I was in high school, I'd do that. If somebody's being a jerk, and when I was in high school, I would act like my cars. When somebody's honking at me, I would shut off my car, lift up the lid, turn on my hazards, and go, I don't know, something's wrong with my car. And then they'd leave, and then I'd shut the lid and go. I did it like in 1985,
My question is,
Yeah.
you've done a lot of voices, you've worked in the industry for a very long time,
Yeah.
and you have a really big respect for Dragon Ball.
I do.
Everything is done, and you respect all of us as fans, and you've
Absolutely.
done a lot for us. We all love you, and we appreciate everything
Thank
you've
you.
done. Do you ever feel the pressure of being, that well loved, being part of such a big franchise, doing this character like? Me, I've heard your voice more than I heard my father's.
Oh my God.
Jesus. So, you mean a lot to a lot of guys, like you said. So, do you ever feel that pressure when you're doing something new like Super, when they come to you and they tell you, hey, Sean, we're bringing Dragon Ball back?
I get a lot of anxiety when they say that, because I also know the business side of it. And so as I tell my beloved producer, I'm not worried about you, I'm worried about the places you. And what I mean by that is the good guy or a bad guy. It's the guy who's, writes your check, and it could be a good guy, but one thing I've noticed about Dragon Ball, and it's been frustrating for me, is that the business side of it, and I can't point fingers or anything, but there's a lot of greedy, grubby people trying to grab on it and do stuff with it, and yada, 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 and they don't always respect the art part of it. So they're like, oh, we'll just take it somewhere else, get a new cast, it'll be fine. They don't think we need to preserve this. They don't think in those terms. And the people running it now do. I think Crunchyroll does, and I think Toei absolutely respects our cast, and they do now. But I've seen this happen in other industries. But to your question, I tend to analyze things on a pretty profound level. It's just something I do. And 2 times this has happened. When I first got on the show, I was laying in bed at night because I'd walked into a Target, and that had a whole bunch of TVs playing Dragon Ball. My voice was booming across this is like in 2001, 2002, booming across the store, and I was immediately overwhelmed with anxiety. And I went to bed late that night, and I'm thinking, these children are growing, and as their synaptic pathways are forming, my vibrations are impregnating their brains in this, completely fusing inside, and they'll be affected by that for the rest of their lives, versus finding Dragon Ball when you're an adult, because that formative years, you know, we're garbage in, garbage out machines as humans. And so if I don't bring it, you know, it's not going to be okay. So I thought about that 20-something years ago. And then after we did the Dragon Ball Super and we did the last 4 movies, and everything was just blowing up and I was busy, the profundity of it is never lost on me. And I think about all the interconnected nature of it all the time. I find it extraordinarily an awesome responsibility, and it's absolutely overwhelming. But I don't think about it when I'm working. I just become Goku and do the thing. But when I'm done, I mean, I sweat it over Daima. I was calling how's the mix sound? How's the mix? Did they do the reverb? How'd it go? Is everything okay? And those mixers are great. I love Nathaniel, I love Gino. They mix my voice great. And I'm an audio engineer myself, so I'm like, okay, I know a lot about this, so I'm really listening to stuff. I'm using high-end headphones. I'm like, it's gotta be visceral. And I'll do extra things. There are a couple of screams on Daima that I elongated, just like I did on Super Saiyan 3, during the transformation, because you know I can't scream for 3 minutes. So I do all the screams, but when they're really, really long, I will digitally stitch them by screaming to a point and then starting at the end and screaming again, and then we digitally stitch them. Because I can't scream for 3 minutes, but I want you to think Goku can, you know? And so I will just, whatever it takes to serve the scene to make Goku just seem just unbelievably awesome. And then my rules for screams and performances, particularly screams, is like, my voice by itself needs to sound as awesome as that looks. And I never made it. I cannot match toy anime. I cannot match all that animation. But if I get close, and then those two things fuse together, you have an exponential emotional experience. And so I'm really looking to make you metaphorically shake. Like, you know, I really want you to. And every time I get so excited every time I see some kid just freak out.
Well,
it makes my day.
I can probably speak for everybody who loves Dragon Ball. Thank you for everything
Thank you.
And obviously you put your heart and soul into
I do.
everything.
I consider my purpose for being on Earth, and I've done it almost half my life, and, you know, they can pry it from my cold, dead hands, and as long as my voice works, I'm doing it. So, you know, and it's fine.
Yeah, let's give it up for Sean.
Yeah, thank you.
That was great.
I love the love, because I know the passion. I know Dragon Ball's special.
When you do move over here,
Yes!
drift.
Thank you.
So if you see someone drifting in Riverside,
I don't drift. Wait, there was one other car thing I was going to tell. What it was, I used to keep a Goku in my a black. I mean, not Goku black, but blue-haired God mode right in my rear left window, just looking at you. So when I pass you, you know Goku beat you. And I will race. I don't race dangerously. What I do is, if you guys race me, I let them win. Like, I'll tail them, but I'll let them win because I'm like, you can crash first. Like, I'm not doing it. Yeah, no. I don't have a Beamer anymore. I have a Cayman T I drive. So if you see a yellow Cayman T driver now, that's me. I'm manual. Dude, I'm manual all the way. I'm manual. Oh, they're great cars. Yeah. But if you want it to work out of the box, just get a Porsche. If you want to have fun, get a 370Z Nismo. Yeah, get that one, yeah. Anyways, I'll talk about cars all day, or watches, or French horns. So, or Dragon Ball. Whatever you guys want to talk about. I can talk about any subject forever. I read all the time. Go ahead. Let's do the quantum physics panel. I don't give a shit.
that's the next one.
Let's do a peptide panel.
My name is Caesar, and I've...
Caesar! Hail Caesar!
I love your salad.
Thank you.
You got me! I love your salad! Actually, there was one, before you actually joke, I was watching a show, and when the plot line was, there was a bad guy making the other person tell me a joke, and then I did a video of me as King Kai watching. I didn't post it, I should have. And King Kai's going, yes, he's gonna tell him a joke! Like, he was so excited that the show he was watching, someone else was making someone else tell a joke. Anyway, I recorded. What's your question? Sorry.
I just have 2 quick questions,
Yeah.
if that's all right. Assuming you're caught up to the manga, which you are,
I'm
right?
not, but I'll tell you a story about that, but go ahead.
Okay. How far are you caught up?
Not at all, but go ahead.
Which voice line in the newer arcs would be your favorite line to voice?
I have no idea. Are you gonna read them? Okay. Are you gonna read them?
No.
Or you're not gonna tell them? You're asking me. I don't have them in my head.
Okay.
But I'll tell you a story though. I don't read the manga ahead at all.
Wow.
Here's why.
Why?
I'm playing Goku. He doesn't see the future. So I feel like there's 2 reasons. With the manga translation, if you send a Japanese translation to 5 different translators, you're going to get 5 different translations that all fundamentally mean the same thing, but will have different sentences, right? Kind of. So what I get worried about if I read ahead of the manga is that the manga's translated into English, and then I'll get married to that dialogue. And then when I got to go record it, I'll start getting insecure. I'm like, oh, wait, he said this. Oh, wait, that was the manga. Oh, wait, I get too into it. But when Akira Toriyama passed, I was so grief-stricken, I bought the entire manga and ordered it that night. And it's sitting in my office. And I haven't read it yet, but I do plan to read a little bit. I think, look, I still think I'm capable of acting if I read the whole story and knew it. It's just easier for me if I don't, right? So I'm going to read some of it ahead, and I am going to read some of it on my Twitch channel and perform maybe a little here and there. I can't do too much for legal reasons, obviously, but you know, I can read a little bit. And Toyotaro is blessed by Akira Toriyama Sensei because he's quoted as saying he's the only guy that draws like Akira Toriyama Sensei. So. He's got that sanction, and so I think it's legit and awesome. And I think the story on Super is just fantastic. What I know about Granola and Moro and Frieza Black, etc. I know a little bit, right? And I'm ready. My fear is the following. Here's my fear. Look, I go hard, I go high, I go loud as far as I can. I don't know how much further I can go, and I don't know what they're going to do with that animation. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so I'm like always thinking, how am I going to go further beyond? How am I going to go, you know, and I'll get there when the animation gets there. But the trick with Goku Ultra Instinct is I have not done a lot of dialogue in that voice. And that voice, when I do that voice, the way I interpret the character is he's now become Obi-Wan Kenobi. He's one with everything, right? So he's got to sound kind of like, you know, these aren't the droids they're looking for, but he needs to be still sound not boring. And so I've only had a little dialogue, and so I'm waiting to see how that pans out so I can perfect that voice, because I've done it in the video games, I did it in the series a bit, but I haven't had the opportunity to really flesh it out, and so I'm a little nervous about that. I'm sure I'll figure it out. Very excited about it. I'm really curious. Chris and I, when we were first working on Super, we thought, are Goku and Vegeta being groomed to be the new gods of creation and destruction with Whis and Beerus? And it seems like, correct me if I'm wrong, they're hinting at that.
Yeah, soon.
We thought about that in 2018. Chris and I were talking about that in 18 and 19.
Yeah, that was before like Ultra Instinct and Ultra Ego.
Yeah, and I call that Ultra Ego, and I draw a waffle when I sign. If I see Chris sign as Ultra Ego, I'll write Ultra Ego and draw a waffle, because I think that's funny. But yeah, we had predicted that from the get-go. We weren't sure how it was going to pan out, but Chris and I had conversations about this in 18 to 19, I think maybe even 12 before that, maybe even 17, depends on when we started Super. And so we were curious about how that happens. And I'm really excited to hopefully finish it someday. Honestly, I don't know anything. If I did know, I'd say, I know and I can't tell you, but I don't know. And you will find out before me. Here's how it happens. Toei will make an announcement, somebody will get my Instagram, they'll go, hey Sean, Super's coming back. I'm like, it is? And then I'll call my producer, is Super coming back? And he goes, I don't know, I haven't heard anything from Japan. And then a few months later he goes, yeah, it's coming back, we're gonna do it. Like, that's how it's gonna go down. You're all gonna know before me. You're all gonna know before me. But I would love to know first. They just don't trust that I wouldn't tell you, which I won't, but you know.
You just want to make sure.
Yeah, they want to make sure, because I do work on the show. So.
Yeah, so just the second question is,
Yeah.
say the years down the road, who would you want to leave your legacy behind to?
In terms of
like, you're handing the torch to somebody else.
People say that to me. I'm like, I don't know, I'm my dead body. I have thought about this. There's only a couple scenarios that I would do that under, and I would love it. And it doesn't work this way in voice acting, and I wish it did. It only has in a couple of occasions. One occasion is when Chris Ayres was sick, and Damon Mills was stepping in for him. There was a real beautiful mentorship of Chris showing Damon how this character needs to be played and how to do the voice, and Damon very humbly not saying anything about it until Chris was handed it off to him entirely. And I don't think I would get that opportunity in show business. And I had a guy come up to me today and ask me about this, and I said, I'm looking for the heart of a pure Saiyan warrior. It's not about doing a Goku impression. I'm looking for somebody who gets what it means to play this character in the public eye as well as the character itself. And I'm not looking for somebody who's got an ego about clicks or is real excited about it because they're a fan. In fact, I don't want a fan. I want somebody who's in it, who's, you know, if I were going to do it, it would be somebody, and I would want to have a say in, which I don't think I would get that, but I would be looking for a certain personality who could also do the physical work that is extraordinarily difficult to do. Like, doing those screams ain't easy, and it takes a lot of work and a lot of training, right? And so they'd have to have a unique combination of gifts and skills that I would like to help if I were going to do that. And the only scenario I could see is if I develop vocal notes. And by the way, the only reason I sound scratchy right now is because I've been talking for the last 2 days. I'm fine, but it would have to have vocal damage, or I couldn't do it anymore. Or if, you know, I was happy, you know, completing Super and there was some new thing that didn't seem like it would work right for me on, you know, it'd have to be that. but I would look for a person who is not so bright-eyed and bushy-tailed about being so thrilled to be on Dragon Ball. And I can tell you as a point, actually, I noticed this. Another funny story. I was watching one of the Star Wars movies, and one of the guys who'd been in Heroes was in it. I kind of gave him a hard time. I won't mention his name, but I gave him a hard time because I could tell when he was in Star Wars, he was real geeked out to be in Star Wars. And I'm like, dude, that's not how you act. The whole time I'm watching your scene, I can tell you're real excited to be in Star Wars. You need to be in Star Wars. It bothered me so much, right? Because I'm like, it's cool that you're in it, but you need to commit to the character and suspend the disbelief. So I was telling him in the green, I'm like, dude, I can tell you were geeking out about being in Star Wars. Dude, yeah, it was so great. I'm like, yeah, you don't realize that, like, totally. Like, I wasn't trying to be mean, but I was like, yeah, I was trying to enjoy the movie, and now I'm fanning out with you. And so I don't want a fanboy to work on it. I want somebody who's passionate about being a real Super Saiyan, you know, really passionate about transforming into the character and committing to it entirely. And so,
preferably a French horn player.
Trumpet player. What'd you say? Clarinet player? Horn player? Yeah. Yeah. Well, I say, look, it is horn. You're right. Horn. To be nerd out, the correct term for the French horn is just the horn with a capital H. She's correct. The reason we say French horn is because everyone else doesn't know that. And the French made it popular. It's a long story. As a hornist, we just call each other horn, and on the part, it just says horn 1. It doesn't say French horn. So, and a trumpet's not a horn, it's a trumpet. A trombone is a trombone. A horn is a horn. And so she's correct. And I had to do that to give myself French horn credibility, so that was just my ego. Otherwise, she wouldn't believe I was a good horn player. And do you have anything else? Do we have anybody else to talk? We got a couple more minutes. Thank you. Great questions. Great questions.
Is it fine if I do 2 questions?
Okay.
My name is Douglas.
Hi, Douglas.
I'm a big fan of Dragon Ball, of course. I've watched all of it, but you know how you said you've done multiple voice actors, but people mainly know you as Goku?
Yeah.
So I haven't looked this up yet, but I've heard that you're the voice actor of Black Doom in the Sonic series.
I was.
Yeah, I'm a massive fan of. Oh yeah! I am a massive fan of the Sonic series. I know all the lore and I have like over 120 hours on.
Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you feel playing Black Doom?
Well, I felt great about it until they replaced me, which I think was a political thing, because the guy playing it's doing a copy of my voice, and I'm like, I was available, I auditioned for it, and for some reason they didn't choose me. So that was a little vexing, because you know, I was down to do the part, and I'm like, and I thought, well, if they're gonna replace me, if they're going in a different direction, that doesn't bother me. But then when I hear the guy doing it, it's like doing my voice, I'm like, okay, why didn't you pick me? I think it had something to do with the studio or something. I don't know. I don't mind saying that either, because I'm a little miffed about it. But playing that part, I can tell you a funny story about that. I recorded 14 hours on that in 1 week, lost my voice, saw 2 different doctors, was worried I'd lost my voice forever, and part of my voice is permanently damaged from that, but it doesn't affect any voice except Black Doom, because it's down here all day. And then I get really close to the mic to add what's called proximity effect for subharmonic frequencies, so it sounds really fat, you know? So I was really close to the mic. But I went to a Chinese doctor who stuck 2.5-inch needles into my head and a bunch of herbs, and then I went to another ENT who basically told me the same thing the Chinese doctor did for $1,000 more. And then wanted to put me on steroids, and I'm like, I'm not doing that. So then I had some hearing loss. It messed me up, kid. It did. But I love playing that part, and I'm glad you're such a big fan, and I'm sad I'm not in the future one. So. Thank you. I'm committed. You know, committed like in a straitjacket. No.
So my other question.
Part 2.
My other question is, what is your favorite Dragon Ball series? Like, is it Dragon Ball Z, Super, Daima, GT? Mine is Z because it's just realistically the GOAT. But like,
I would argue that in the pantheon, you would probably be objectively right. I would agree with that. My personal favorite is probably Super or Kai, but probably Super only because I'm looking at the whole Akira Toriyama experience. And so, you know, Dragon Ball has a lot of comedy. Dragon Ball Z has comedy and a lot of epic. Dragon Ball Super has everything. It's got comedy, it's got epic, it's got new storylines, it's got new characters, it's got old school stuff, it's got some fan service. So in terms of the whole sandwich, I like Super the best, but your other comment about Z being probably the OG legit best is probably true, yeah. Or maybe Dragon Ball, but yeah, you're probably right. But Super is probably my favorite, probably, in the last 4 movies, yeah.
Super is good as well.
What's that?
Super is really good as well.
Yeah, that's really good, but I see your points about Z for sure, yeah.
Awesome, thank you for your question.
So my name is Art.
Art.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Art. We met earlier. I love your Super Saiyan hair.
Thank you. My question to you is, Dragon Ball has impacted so many people, young and older, and what is another anime besides Dragon Ball that you would say has that same type of impact, either for you or for...
Well, that's hard for me to answer because those anime I don't think I'm in, but I understand, you know, My Heroes had enormous impact. I know that One Piece has had enormous impact. The classic anime, which was huge, you know, you have some really old school things like Akira, Ninja Scroll I saw a lot back in the day. There's a lot of Giant Robo. I was in Giant Robo. There's a lot of old school 60s and 70s anime that really set the standard. And for me, I hate to diss the creativity of my own country, but when I was a little boy, you know, I liked Scooby-Doo, I liked all my American cartoons, but when there was a Japanese block that played when I lived in the small town in Iowa as a child, and they played like Ultraman, Goldar, Speed Racer, and I just remember thinking, God, these shows are just on another level of just ideas, just the concepts were just crazy and just beyond. I was absolutely smitten with Japanese television as a child. And a huge Ultraman fan, which I'm in. I'm Ultraman Zero in the new Ultraman show. So I'm in that show too. I was thrilled when I got the bar. The first action figure I ever bought at a con is an Ultraman action figure in the year 2000. When I went to my first San Diego Comic-Con, the first thing I bought was a Speed Racer car and the Mach 5 and Ultraman, which I still have both of them, yeah. Yes, I'm a fan of things for sure. Yeah, is that your question?
Thank you for your question. We have time for about one more.
One more from the smart. Are you the smart sister? Or are you the sister of the smart boy? Now you guys look alike. Yeah.
So my name is Juliana, and I was wondering if there was any episode in Dragon Ball that told a really profound message or theme that really encouraged you to put more effort into your acting. Even though you already put a lot of...
Maybe not an episode specifically, but maybe a moment when you were recording.
Sometimes it has to do with the animation. Sometimes it has to do with the art, because I'm an audio artist, but I definitely appreciate visual art. I'm colorblind, so I always want more color. And so I don't always am affected by, like I go to dance performances and people feel emotion when they watch dance, and I call it organized wiggling. So I don't feel things like that, but sometimes the animation is so profound, you know, I have to just meet it that way, you know? And I'm just trying to think, and Goku's such a simple character. You're asking me a deep question about a character that's not, you know, in his own head really deep. You know, he's always a childlike mind, you know what I mean? So I'm looking at the depth of the arc of the show and what some of the symbolisms mean, like, why is Whis an angel, you know? Why is there a god of destruction, you know, that sort of thing. But what really, as I've gotten older, and this is gonna sound cheesy, but as I've gotten older, what's really inspired me to go harder, and this is evident when I went back to record Daima about a month ago or so, was you guys. I come to my table, you guys are excited, it's a spirit, I'm borrowing your energy like a spirit bomb, it goes inside me, and then I take it into the booth with me and kamehameha it out of my mouth. So, as I've gotten older, you know, interacting with people like you and everybody who comes to my table, I get in the booth and I bring it with me. I'm like, if I don't bring this, it's not that you're gonna bitch me out, I don't care, but you should if I suck, but it's about letting the emotional moment down. It's about, you're sitting down, you got your popcorn or whatever, you're like, okay, here it goes, and then I do my thing and you're like, well, that wasn't very good. And I'm like, I can't have that. I need this. You're watching popcorn, and then your popcorn goes everywhere because you freaked out. You know, that's what I want, you know what I mean? And then you're like, oh my God, Goku's real. You know, that's what I want. And so if you're feeling that, then I'm doing my job right.
Awesome.
You know?
Thank you so much for your
I hope that was a good question. It's a deep question, but that depth is with Goku is you know, not so deep. You know what I mean?
That's why we love Goku, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because everyone grows and changes around him, and then he just shows up as this constant northern star.
Yeah.
And that's tricky to play as an actor. Like, I'm real excited to play Captain Celebrity because he has a growth arc. Goku's growth arc is just fighting stronger people and leveling up. He's not becoming a better husband. Or, you know, not ditching his family. He's not doing any of that. You know, he's not growing like Vegeta is and becoming nicer and defending his woman. You know, he's not doing that. And that's Goku. I don't have a problem with that. That's fine. But as an actor for 26 years, you're like going, okay, I got to make it fresh. Got to make it interesting. And that is where classical music comes in. Because I played the Mozart Concerti thousands of times, and every time I play him, if you ever hear me play him, it will sound like it's the first time I ever played him. Because when I was in music school, that's how they train you. So when I do voice acting, I do the same thing to make sure that it doesn't matter if I'm tired, all of a sudden it's all clear, and then fresh Goku day one, every single time. It has to be that way.
That is
You know,
awesome. Well,
that's how I roll.
Thank you for a question. We are at time, so can we
You guys are
please give
amazing. I love you all. Thank you.
For Sean
Thank you,
Schemmel.
guys. I'm gonna drive home. You guys are amazing.
Give yourselves a round of applause for
And I'll be at Anime Pasadena later too, right?
Yes.
I think I'll be at Anime Pasadena. So if you miss me at my table, I'll be back in a few months. Yeah.
Shout out to.